Seated before a deep landscape and surrounded by artists and writers, the 15th-century leader of Florence, Lorenzo de' Medici, sits frontally in a throne-like chair. Some of the men clustered around him are holding rolled-up scrolls of paper. Others wield small sculptural or architectural models and plans. Known as the Magnificent, Lorenzo gestures towards a humble youth standing to his left, who bows respectfully towards him while offering up a sculpted bust of a faun, an ancient mythological creature. This sidelined young man is none other than Michelangelo Buonarroti, arguably the most famous artist in history. Here, Michelangelo, the great maker of art, is merely a supporting player. Lorenzo, his patron, dominates the scene. So, what is a patron? In the simplest sense, a patron is the person who pays for a work of art to be created. This person or group of people determines what will be made, what it will be made of, where it will be seen, and who will see it. The term patron itself helps us to understand this role. The word comes from the Latin word patronus, meaning protector of clients or dependents. The term patronus, in turn, is related to pater, meaning father. Like the father of a family, a patron was responsible for the development and the realization of a work of art. Lorenzo was one of history's most prolific patrons, supporting visual artists and architects, as well as poets and scholars. The spectacular Florentine church of San Lorenzo, closely associated with the Medici family, was enriched by Lorenzo's investments, while the suburban Medici villa at Poggio a Caiano was built according to Lorenzo's keen classical tastes. He commissioned work from some of the most notable artists of his day, including Botticelli, Perugino, Ghirlandaio, and Pollaiuolo, whose bronze Hercules and Antaeus was likely displayed in Lorenzo's home. Even today, making art requires a certain level of investment. Art supplies cost money, and art takes time to make. Before the advent of relatively inexpensive, industrially produced art supplies, like tubes of paint, ready-made canvases, and mass-produced brushes, art making was too expensive an undertaking to pursue without the support of a wealthy patron. The paintings, sculptures, tapestries, and other art objects you see in museums today were commissioned or made to order, with a far more limited market of artworks, generally of lesser quality, created for an open market. When this fresco was painted by the Italian artist Ottavio Vanini in the 17th century, both Lorenzo and Michelangelo were long dead. Paid for by the Grand Duke Fernando II de' Medici to adorn the ruling family's palace in Florence and celebrate his illustrious Medici ancestry, the image points to the great difference between the social status of artists and the people for whom they worked in early modern Europe. While artists in early modern Europe were increasingly appreciated for their role in making works of art, they were generally from less privileged social positions, lacking the wealth and education of their socially superior clients. These clients, or patrons, were the artistic influencers of their day, supporting the creation of paintings, sculptures, architecture, and other objects that reflected and popularized their tastes. Notice how the men gathered around Lorenzo angle their bodies towards him. Like a centrifuge, a support for the arts emanates outward from him. A wealthy patron, like Lorenzo the Magnificent, could shape the visual world in which he lived, supporting artists whose style and skills aligned with his interests. Patronizing art was considered a noble pursuit and could be a way to show off your learning and wealth, and honor your family, faith, or community. Lorenzo looks commanding and content in his chair. And let's face it, spending money can be fun, at least more fun than earning it.